Welcome, everybody, to the Eat, Pray, Faith podcast with Dr. Tracy. That's me. And I'm super excited because my very good friend and expert is here, Dr. Bo Hengen, and she is going to be talking to us about putting essential oils back into their medicinal place in our practice. So before you go, because I know you hear the word essential oils, and I know a lot of MLM companies have ruined this entire industry. Thanks for what you did for recognition, but they took it a little bit too far, I feel. I want you guys to really tune in tight today because these do have a place and a space in your practice. They're not just these smelly good things that people put, into their candles and their bathtubs, but this is true medicine. And there's no one better to validate this than my friend, Dr. Bo, who owns Absolute Essentials, my newest favorite essential oil company, because honestly, I have found the healthiest essential oils in the world, and I'm so glad to bring it to the US. I feel like I'm doing it. So, Dr. Bo, can you step in, give us a little intro on yourself and maybe how you founded this great company?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Tracy. I'm European born, so I was born in Germany and grew up in France, and I've got two French grandmothers, and they dragged me through the forest, picking herbs and doing all these nice, healthy things, which European families often do. And so I was introduced to essential oils very early, and I had the opportunity back in the 42 years ago now, to work with a doctor in France. And in France, the essential oils were always introduced as a medicine. So you had two branches. One was a fragrance and flavor, which was for perfumes. And then the other branch was for medicine, and you could order it in pharmacies, and doctors made prescriptions. And so this is the sort of space I grew up with. I then immigrated over to New Zealand, and I just was completely amazed that I couldn't find anything which was of therapeutic quality. So I just saw an opportunity, and it was really more to service my own practice initially. And then people said, "Oh, that smells really cool," and "Oh, what's that?" And that worked so well, and and they wanted some. So, and this is how I started 38 years ago now to try to get my own resource, like my own essential oils, which I could offer the market. Initially, it was just in New Zealand. And as I was doing this, and as we were sort of growing, I noticed that we were really doing in the sourcing of the essential oils, the supply chain was really underrated and not looked after at all. And so this really bothered me. So even though it wasn't popular then with all the sustainability and everything else, I just went out and created our own supply chain with making sure that everything was ethically sourced and that the people who grew it were looked after. But then I also noticed the quality difference in the essential oils being either produced for the flavor and fragrance industry or being produced for medicinal purpose. There was a vast difference. And that's when I got really interested to create just the healthiest essential oils in the world.
Wow. Well, I can honestly tell you, I remember you actually came to my house and visited me all the way from New Zealand, which was amazing because you were kind of going through the United States doing some business. And so I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Bo personally, and she's as amazing a person as she is a formulator for essential oils. And I remember the first time you said, "Smell this one," and then "Smell my essential oil." And I mean, the difference was, it blew me away. You said, "I wish I would have recorded your reaction," because I was like, wow, like
Yeah,
completely.
I should have filmed your face. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're also a physician. You're a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and you're also a naturopathic doctor. So many credentials behind, yet you really grabbed onto the essential oil world. What did you find? Why did you grab onto that? I know you couldn't find it, but what results did you miss from when you were younger to now?
So I'm also trained in aromatic medicine, which is the French aromatic sort of training in medicine, which you can get. What really fascinated me about essential oils was that they were so versatile. I think it's probably the best. Like, I mean, you could, If you just take lavender, I mean, you could write a book on lavender, how you could use it. You could use it on wounds. You can use it to sleep, to relax, just a nice scent, So there are all these different uses. But Tracy, the most fascinating thing in practice, as I was practicing naturopathy and osteopathy, it's really that essential oils, they have a different pathway into the body, because every medicine which we are taking, if you think about it, including natural allopathic medicine as well as natural medicine, even homeopathy, Chinese herbs, vitamins, they're all swallowed. So they all go into this one pathway through the stomach. And of course, in the stomach, you've got hydrochloric acid and there's the digestive juices, and you might be on medications and you might have other things which rumbling around in your tummy, including alcohol or things which are not so great for you. And the essential oils, when you smell an essential oil, I'll talk a little bit about the quality and how important it is to make sure that the molecules are the right size. But if you are smelling an essential oil, it goes straight into the brain. So it's the only medicine we can really apply straight to our brain. So it travels through the olfactory bulb into the limbic system. And there, the molecules really talk to our endocrine system and nervous system initially. And they all interact, and they make us either feel good, or they stimulate digestive juices, or whatever emotion or sensation in the body we want to affect. It has that immediate effect, and actually almost like we don't have a choice on it, because it just goes straight into the brain. So that's fascinated me in the integration, how we can utilize that as practitioners to, when we are doing a protocol with herbs and vitamins, how we can utilize to enhance the effect of that protocol with just using essential oils additionally to whatever else is appropriate for the patient.
Wow. Well, you talked a little bit about quality, and you were saying about the molecule size. And this was one of the things that, again, when you were here, we just had all these one-off conversations. Tell me about that, because I know that does matter. I mean, obviously quality matters. I think quality is very much harped on. And I'm not calling out any, brands or anything like that, but there is some misinformation out there when it comes to quality. Can you please give me what you told me when you were here? There's a categorization of quality standards. And I mean, you explained that to me so well, and then we'll go into molecule size, but.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the intent of, essential oils are fascinating, been used for thousands and thousands of years, for anything from a pleasant spice like to the fact that if you think of the Egyptians, they used myrrh and frankincense to mummify their bodies. So and they're preserved very well, as you know. We're still digging them out today, and they're in fairly good shape, So as industrialization happened, and as the extraction of essential oils got more modernized, of course, people who wanted to just use them for a simple flavor or a fragrance, they would have very sophisticated distillation units, which they can heat up to 500 degrees plus, and put them under pressure, almost like a hospital sort of heating system, like under steam, under pressure. And then, of course, they would make sure that the extraction is really, really fast. So it's like if you're taking lemongrass, for example, it would be harvested from hectares and hectares and hectares of land, commercially grown, so not organically grown, in Indonesia. It would go to distillery super hot in a big pot, and then they would do it for 15 minutes, and that's it. Because the molecule which makes the lemongrassy smell is extracted very quickly and turns over very quickly at that point. Now, when you're doing a medicinal essential oil, your intent is different. And we are teaching our growers that they actually, if they want to have this quality, they need to go through these processes. Apart from the growing, like certified organic and wild grown, the hand picking, the harvesting at the right time of the day, to make sure that you have most of the molecules in there, to a very gentle, so we call it a slow and low distillation, which means that the distillation never goes over 120 degrees. And it, like the lemongrass, for example, which we extract in southern Nepal, that takes 8 to 12 hours. So you get everything. You get everything the plant has to offer, rather than just these 3 or 5 rogue things which make a smell. So you do have, like, if well, we'll talk about safety a little bit later, but this is one of the main concerns around safety, that the intent of use and matches the intent of production.
Okay, so that's such a great point. I mean, a couple of things you said in there that I remember then was the eye opener for me, the hand picking.
Mm.
I mean, that I don't know if that's a practice that is bestowed across all essential oil companies and their growers, along with the right time of day to harvest. I mean, I think those are two amazingly important points. And I know that you do that personally with your growers. So, um, what,
Like
why?
Rose, if I can give you an example on this one, because it
Uh-huh.
is actually, I find it's fascinating. Like, let's say rosemary, needs to be, because the molecules go into the flower, so you harvest rosemary in the middle of the day, because it's got most essential oils and it needs to be in flower, the twig. When you harvest rose, for example, rose essential oils, which the fragrance is super, super, super fine and very, very fragile, all the growers in Bulgaria, they pick the petals before the dewdrops fall off. So, I mean, if you had a distillery in Bulgaria, man, before 6:30, it's you know, it's wild, they all try to get their hand-picked bags in as soon, as way before the sun rises, because they actually get paid more because the quality is better. So if they arrive after 7 o'clock, their bags go down into the hold and they don't get paid as much. So, it's quite fun in a way, because they're so aware of that it affects the quality so much.
Wow, that's amazing. So you talked about the molecule sizes. What determines the right molecule size for the fragrance or the essential oil that you're trying to extract?
So if you have we call them flavor and fragrance essential oils, and a lot of people are actually surprised to know. I mean, we all know that essential oils, if you're lucky, is used in perfumes. If you're lucky, you get a few percentage of natural compounds in a perfume. But we are often essential oils like lemongrass, for example, the acetyl acid is extracted out of lemongrass, and that's put in your muesli into your jam to make it taste better. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a natural flavor to enhance our experience, But if you're using the same quality of that lemongrass for, let's say, even a massage or a therapeutic effect, I don't know if you ever had a massage where you felt really agitated afterwards rather than relaxed, so twitchy, and and your skin was, so this is probably a flavor and fragrance quality lemongrass which was used, which actually agitates your nervous system rather than relaxes your nervous system. So the molecule size, so if you have a therapeutic or medicinal grade essential oil, which is extracted in the right way, the molecules are tiny, like if you look at comparing with your little finger, the nail of your little finger to possibly like a small golf ball in comparison. So there's quite a difference. And of course, if they're tiny, when they arrive in your olfactory bulb in the between your eyebrows there through your nose, that's where those tiny molecules get recognized by your brain, and it's almost like it can have, because it's nature identical, it can have a conversation with it, and therefore it has this amazing effect on the body.
Awesome. So when it comes to standards of essential oils, I mean, some of these big brands that are out there, they're claiming to be the cleanest, the best. Is that true? Are we being fed the truth?
I would say that I would say no. The truth is very gray in this space. Um, when a product can be used in a lifestyle or as broadly as cleaning products or something, versus to medicinal, and both of them are called lemongrass, it's very confusing to the consumer what they need to look for, and what actually is real. And I mean, when you're doing a gas chromatogram, which is a little test to make sure that the quality of the essential oil is the right one, with the right balance of molecules in it. I mean, consumers can't do this because it costs $250 or so each pop. So a consumer just needs to trust the brand. And of course, if the brand has very good narrative, that's very confusing when they're not the quality which they claim to be.
Yeah. I always say good marketing can sell some really bad products, right?
Yes, it can, yeah.
Great marketing.
And
So go ahead.
and those companies have much bigger budgets often than smaller companies, so therefore the marketing becomes more loud, not necessarily better, but it's very loud, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a few years back when I think when essential oils really hit the market again, kind of burst onto the scene, it was probably about 10 years ago or so. And that we saw some of these bigger companies come out, create an industry awareness, which I thought was great, right? It kind of brought validity back to natural remedies and natural health. But, moving into my practice then, as I became a naturopathic doctor, one of the things that really frustrated me was that people that sold these oils were taught that they did everything.
Yes.
And I just want to touch on that a little bit and get your opinion on positioning of essential oils. Like, yes, I think they're medicinal and they have medicinal qualities, but how do you position them for practitioners like myself? Like, if I wanted to pick up your line, which I already have, but what would you say to me? Like, here's the three qualifications, or here's the three tiers of the way you use them. Is there a special type of information?
Yeah. Look, I think in clinic, when you are with people, there's so many products on offer right now. And essential oils, I mean, we are professionals, which I would assume I can make this assumption that all of us listening here and the people you talk to, they're all concerned about improving health. So my concern in clinic is to um, to heal people, to help them get better, not to farm them. So therefore, I'm wanting to have the maximum impact. So I have always looked at the best possible combination of products for this client. And for most people, I would say 70% of people integrating essential oils into the protocols increases the effectiveness of the protocol by, I would say, 30 to 50%. So in some conditions, like if you're looking at respiratory conditions, for example, it's a no-brainer because, I mean, that is our body system which breathes and takes the molecules into the body, into the lungs, into the bloodstream. Um, and as we are breathing, we can't take a breath without smelling. That's how we are designed. So as we are breathing, and of course it goes into our brain and affects our endocrine system and the nervous system. So, the respiratory system, nervous system, and endocrine system, if you want to, I mean, even with women when they're going through menopause, and, I think essential oil is just a gift for these three body systems. When you're looking at what some of those companies have done, if you're thinking about how they're sold with an MLM system, it's the mum or the dad, possibly mainly the mum, who picks up snippets of information. They're not medically trained, and then they sell it to the next mum, and then maybe the information gets changed, and then to the next person and the next person. So it's a bit of a Chinese whisper, which can get really dangerous. Some of the especially when we're going into internal use of essential oils. And of course, if you've got a headache and you smell peppermint, or you put a drop of peppermint onto the back of your hand and lick it, it will clear your it will clear your sinus from inside, as well as it will help your headache. So it's an easy remedy to do. But if you've got parasites, and you want to treat them, there's no point in putting essential oils in a diffuser. You're going to have to put them in your tummy. I had a funny where I really started to think about, wow, the application methods are so important. So we had a call here from a lady. She was an Asian lady, and her language, there was a bit of a language restriction, but she bought a product which we had for to assist with cellulite, and she said that she bought it 3 weeks ago and she had been using it every day, and she hasn't seen any change. And we inquired on how she was using it, and she was putting it in a diffuser. And I mean, that was the knowing gap for me to really realize that I actually need to spell it out, that there are some remedies for this condition and some remedies for that condition. And the application is so important because they are so versatile, but also the person is really important, So if you get it right, it's seriously, I mean, I could talk for hours about clients I've just suddenly transformed their whole health just like that, because I got the combination right.
Yeah, and I think that is the type of information that's so valuable as a practitioner. It's the same thing with supplements, right? I mean, I can give everybody vitamin C, but the people that benefit from it the most are those that need it. So the person matters, right? I can give somebody, a topical magnesium, or I can give them an internal magnesium, but it's really about which way is going to work most effectively systemically. Is it localized pain? Is it a systemic issue? And so I think what happened, and again, appreciate the whole MLM bringing it to the forefront, but what happened was it was a one-way use case for everybody, or if you don't like this way, you can do it that way, when really the application matters. And yes, let's talk a little bit about ingestion of oils, because this is the one that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this product anymore. I'm coming over to Absolute Essentials. You had told me some, interesting facts about your essential oils and internal ingestion and the ones that I was currently using. And you were like, those are not, I was like, they're not. So can you just touch on that a little bit when, consuming oils and how to tell quality?
So let's talk about quality and safety first, and then we go into the consuming essential oils, because I think we need to cover those aspects first. I am super concerned about safety of anyone, really, especially people who are not well, because they're typically more sensitive than, people who are strong and well. So a quality essential oil should be an essential oil, in my opinion, and we definitely have just gone down that path. Be organically certified or wild grown, harvested ethically and with great care, be really carefully extracted to assure that all the active medicinal components are in balance and are inside the product. Of course, we are vegan certified and cruelty free. It goes sort of without saying, and with my ethics, Additionally, we've, of course, also have huge sustainability practices in our company. But if an essential oil is of this quality, you really are looking at transforming health and skincare of people, How does the consumer pick this up? I mean, it is hard, and if I wouldn't be an expert in this field, even I would be confused. So, I don't want anybody to feel bad because they think, oh my God, I bought into this, and I believe that. So the first thing the practitioner or even the consumer should look at, how is so should always be in a dark glass bottle, and brown bottle preferably, because the blue glass is quite toxic to manufacture. So we're looking at brown glass. We're looking at that the labeling is informative. So you always want, of course, your English name, but that doesn't often help. You want your botanical name on the bottle. You also want to know which plant part was extracted, and you want to know which country it comes from. And, I often give this example when people say, oh, does the country really matter? Well, if I had 2 bottles of wine here, if you drink wine, and I know you enjoy a glass of wine sometimes, if you had 2 bottles red wine, one's from India, one is from Australia, they're both $30. Which one would you buy?
Probably the Australian.
Yeah. So, and this is true to a certain extent in regards to that the environment matters where the product is produced energetically, as well as just simply from what comes out at the end. So these are some things which people should look out for. And then, of course, statements like 100% pure. They also could look at the reputation, the ethics of the company, their marketing, to really establish if they want to support them and buy product from them, and if they can trust them. Then the next step would be, of course, to see if it's effective for your patients. I mean, if you buy essential oils, they should blow you away. I mean, that's the effects they can have should blow you away, and that's what often happens.
So is it your professional opinion? Do you know, are most of the essential oil companies that are touting to be the purest, most organic, are they? Are we consuming organic, certified, ethically harvested, extracted carefully in a dark glass bottle with the label English botanical name, plant parts, and country displayed on these labels? I feel
Nope.
like I just put you on trial.
Yeah. No. And there are some companies clearly who, some companies make an effort, and some companies don't. They're just all about the money, and some companies would make an effort with some products where it's easy, but they are dropping it on the more complex ones, the more difficult ones to get of this quality. So, there is a variety of companies out there. There's lots and lots. But if you're looking at, I mean, if you just go on Amazon and you have a Google, you would see probably, I would say that 85% of the companies sold there would be of a flavor and fragrance quality, which shouldn't be sold as medicine.
Right. And so a lot of these essential oil companies just get away with it. And how is that? Are there regulations, no regulations? What are the standards?
So in France, we have a regulation. So there's a definite, so the doctors would never be able to have access to the flavor and fragrance essential oils on their, they just couldn't buy them. In fact, they would be probably in trouble if they bought that quality and used it for their patients. Unfortunately, in English-speaking countries, there is just not enough regulations out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at Australia, I'm not sure if you guys are sort of aware, there was a thing which is called the Therapeutic Goods Act. Unfortunately, what I was quite excited. I thought, yeah, we finally get some recognition for quality. But I mean, what they did was unfortunately registered essential oils, which were, I mean, they're of quality, which I wouldn't even put on my dog. So, and I didn't want to be registered in the same space, because that would put me in the same bucket, so.
So I would imagine that, this entire quality application and intent over the essential oils for medicinal purposes to the regulations that are set kind of like in France, there has to be rejects, right? There has to be oils that don't make it. Where do they go?
Don't know.
They just,
There is, like, if we get, I mean, if you have an essential oils, and we're talking about essential oils as raw materials, there is the next step of actually combining them and making them efficient as a blend, which we can talk about as well. But if you're talking at the raw material, it is like wine. So if you buy a lavender oil from me today, and you're buying another bottle in 2 years' time, you should, and you will find that it smells slightly different because it shouldn't be the same. We don't do anything with the oil. It's distilled. We take it here. We've got our own organically certified manufacturing plant here. So we put it in a bottle. We put the correct process on it, and it's all batch tracked and all the thing. We've got our own organically certified manufacturing plant. So, and we do nothing else but organic products. So there's no contamination. And that's it. We basically, every year there will be a slight difference. And so when you are creating a blend out of those raw materials, like we have some really beautiful blends, not only in skincare, but for diffuser blends, we adjust them every time we get a new batch, and we have to slightly make sure that the balance is right again. So the formula is not changed in the ingredients, but changed in how the ingredients are fitted together. So that's a whole game in itself, where you need quite a bit of good nose, and you need quite a bit of knowledge to do so.
Yeah, I would imagine you need a good nose for essential oils. So I think that's really interesting that, a lot of times people like things the same, right? They want the oil to smell the same as it did 2 years ago when they bought the oil. But what I'm hearing is you do nothing to change the oil's natural progression in the environment, its defense, all of the pheromones, everything that is kind of, that it's resisting against. So I think that's awesome. So I would speculate then that a lot of essential oil companies are tampering with the smells, with the aromas.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they want them to be. So if you buy a lavender Mont Blanc, for example, it's a brand. It's not a brand, but it's a description of a lavender. It's a combination of different lavenders, and every time they sort of mix them, to match the same flavor. I mean, if you like a perfume, like you go and buy a Boss perfume, right? I mean, you buy it lasts you for 5 years. When you buy the second bottle, you want it to smell the same because you liked it. So, with synthetic fragrance, you can achieve that goal. But with natural fragrance, you can't really.
It's interesting. I think it's a really good fact. Just, for people to understand your quality and how you don't tamper to make people feel better, right? At least you have an incredible explanation as to why. So let's talk about
But we also reject products. So if it isn't coming up to quality, and there are, fortunately, with the climate changing, there are some harvests which we can't get, we can't buy, or there is, when a harvest fails, the prices skyrocket.
Yeah.
So it's life. It's happening, as we all know. Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point for people to understand as well, as sometimes you might be out of a fragrance, or it might be up, in price a little bit. It's not because you're trying to capitalize on the market, but maybe the sourcing of the raw materials, the harvesting, et cetera, was affected. So let's talk directly about Absolute Essentials and what all you offer. I mean, I know I don't want you to go through every single blend and every single one, but maybe highlight a few things about your company, about your formulations, that kind of sets you apart from the industry. I know the quality is one, absolutely. The fragrance is another one. I've personally experienced that. And I've personally experienced a lot of your products. Your Absolute Essential Rose and Frankincense gift collection was one of my favorite, that had all the face creams. I love your Scarless solution. I have boys, so I love it for those reasons, but I've also used it in my own face spray that I made. And I will tell you, and I told you right before the podcast, it took away spots on my face, not even directly. I didn't put it on directly. I made it into a spray, and it really cleared my skin and gave it like a glow. And so I've been using that since you've been here. So I have to order more. But I just wanted to point those things out that, I use these products personally, and I've used other oil companies for decades, not getting those results. I appreciated them, but, personally, the fragrance and the application works like a charm. So give us a little bit of background here on your company.
Yeah, so essentially, if you would ask me what do you do, Bo, I would say, well, we have an natural healthcare company which uses essential oils as active ingredients to have health effects on the body and the skin. So we offer, I think about, in the US, we haven't got everything there yet, but that will happen, I'm sure. But we offer around 85 different essential oils that come from 32 different countries around the world. We have very long-term authentic relationships with producers. So like some of the producers go back, 35 years, I think. So we haven't, the business is 35 years old. So we have really never changed the relationship because it is working. And actually, I do believe in long-term relationships, so I really like that, to help people not just in moments, to actually have a permanent effect. So we also have carrier oils because, like, if you're looking, I'm sure your listeners are educated, but an essential oil is a volatile substance. So if you it's the magic, really, because if you keep the lid, you can see it, it's a liquid, you can measure it, you can weigh it. But if you keep the lid off a bottle, a few weeks down the track, there's nothing in it, So it is the fascinating magic. And carrier oil is clearly a greasy oil, so it's got fatty acids in it. And carrier oils, anything from almond oil, which we all know, avocado, apricot kernel, castor oil, argan, they all have their own quality journey, which we actually could talk about because it is so important. And people know even less about the quality with carrier oils versus essential oils. And then out of those, because I was in clinic for 30 years, I constantly had people coming in with problems, like a scar, for example. The scar solution which you've got there has a story. Every product which I've designed all the products for Absolute Essential, and every product has a story. And this scar solution, the lady came in, and she has gone through a windscreen in a car accident, and she was just all cut up, and they had done a beautiful job on her face, really, considering. With the scarring, but they sort of forgot her décolleté, and there were keloid scarring, which were about a finger thick and red. And she had so many surgeries that she didn't want another surgery. But as an osteopath, I was treating her headaches and her neck. And I said, oh, I can probably do something for that. And so I designed this blend, what you've got there, and she was religious in applying it, and the scars were very fresh. And within 3 months, 4 months, they went from being keloid scarring is elevated, red, yucky, quite aggressive looking, to flat and white. And she applied it 2 to 3 times a day.
Wow.
So
and that's what you have to do, right? You don't take one vitamin C and walk away.
well, yeah, especially with skin and scarring, people don't really realize that you actually need to reprogram the cells and rebuild the cells with healthy cells, and that process takes time. But yes, sometimes you can take one vitamin C and it fixes your cold, but in general, you need a little bit longer, don't you?
Right, exactly. So it's just about being consistent and persistent, and
And
although
then,
these are kind of magic, I will tell you, but being consistent and persistent with your essential oils as well. And I think
yeah,
that's what I did. I wasn't even trying to really do anything. I just really enjoy like hydrating face mists. Like those
yeah,
are my thing. And I ran out of the rose and frankincense one that I had. And so I was like, oh, I have this solution. I kind of looked at it and I was like, I'm going to use this scar solution and put it in there. And I'll tell you, it was like magic. I got to tell you.
right. I like magic.
I
Mhm.
do.
I like
Yeah.
science as well, but I think science and magic together is a very good combination. And then in regards to the other ranges, we sort of separated. We found that, well, first of all, my passion is pediatrics, so babies, and that's what I specialized in. I've got a postgrad degree in pediatrics, so that's what I specialized in with in my clinic in the last 10 years, with to treat babies and pregnant women. And so we out of that came a really nice mother and baby line, which is unusual, but it really addresses the most common issues which women experience or with children or during pregnancy. And then with the essential oils, we found that there are people who like to use essential oils, who like to make their own products out of them with a personalized combination. They like to learn how many drops of this and how many drops of that makes this. But then we also found that some people want just something which fixes this and it's done professionally and they don't need to, learn how to put a drop here and a drop there. And so we created a healthcare a category as such, where we are really addressing sleep, coughs, sinus problems, allergies, anything health related. And then we created another category, which is, we call them mind and mood. So they're more for your home, your family, your environment, and also, of course, anxiety and stress, and the more mind conditions which we all struggle with in this very fast-paced world. So yeah, and throw a few gifts in there, and so we've got quite a I think we've got quite a holistic offering which services most people's interests.
Yeah. And I love the mother and baby category, just having those essential oils available. I know there's some controversy, maybe questions out there about utilizing essential oils on babies. Can you help us clarify that a little bit? And what is your professional opinion?
Yeah, so let's and actually there is huge concerns around that, and this is probably part of the main reason why I created that line. I thought, no, it's not true. You just need to know what you're doing. And I would actually say that with the blends which we have for the mother and child, there are products which I almost would recommend and prefer if the practitioner would actually buy the blends rather than trying to make their own, unless they are clearly experts and really want to learn how to do that, because this is where safety comes in. So when you're looking at the safety, you're looking at several aspects for a safe application. One is the age of the client, from baby to elderly. The second thing with safety is how you are. So the first thing with safety is what you're using. So make sure it's a really good quality, therapeutic quality. The second thing with safety is who you're using it on. So is it a baby? Is it a, 6 foot healthy 30-year-old, and the fourth, was it fourth? Are we on 4 or 3? We're on 3. So the third thing, which is the application method, and then the fourth thing is the frequency. So they're very common. I mean, it's not like you do the same thing for vitamins or for herbs, so it's not a essential oil specific safety categorizing. So we've actually, because of my expertise in the pediatrics, and it's actually my passion to get essential oils used for mums and babies safely, because there's such little knowledge out there and I know it is so effective that I think I really threw myself behind that mission, of making them known to be, and training around safety for use in maternity care and children. So we really we developed a mother and child logo, which we put on each of the products. And you'll find it on the box, you'll find it on the website, you'll find it on the label, so that the practitioner can be very confident that this product is suitable for the use in pregnancy, on babies, and on children in general. Of course, the application methods and the dosage will still vary in regards to the age of the child. So we have the mother and child logo clearly on all our mother and child specific products, like the perineum care cream and the baby care, the baby breathe and the child immune plus, all those stretch mark oil, all those products has got the little mother and child logo. What we also have got it on essential oils, for example, or carrier oils, but they are then recommended to use in a way less dosage. Even like lavender can be used on a child, but not with the 10 drops recommended for an adult. For baby, it would just be 1 drop,
Okay, good. So you talked a little bit about carrier oils earlier. Let's just touch on that a little bit because that is not discussed at all. I mean, basically, they tell you use anything. Give me a little insight there because you said it matters.
Yeah, look, each carrier oil has their own therapeutic. If they are therapeutic quality, they have got their own therapeutic value, which they bring to the party, And the party is the blend, like the Scar Solution blend. It's got 7 different carrier oils and 5 different essential oils, And so that's the synergy which we are creating. Now, I just give you. A lot of people know, well, over here anyway, they know about olive oil. And then now they should be getting an extra virgin olive oil. Is that common knowledge over there, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, of course, we still have people that eat McDonald's, so
Yeah,
I digress.
We do too. So this is a world phenomena, that one. So with almond oil, let's take almond oil as an example because it's less known. So you have the almonds typically grown in a plantation, and of course ours is certified organic, but they're growing in big plantations because almonds in general and almond oil and almond milk and everything almonds is a commodity. They would be harvested. They would be, as they're mechanically harvested and the shell is broken and so on, there would be whole almonds, which go through a system, and then there would be broken almonds. So the broken almonds get sold for the oil production, and the whole ones you get to buy at Whole Foods or Erewhon or, wherever you do your shopping. So the broken ones then get, so it's a centrifugal press. So it's squeezed and it's turning, yeah. So the carrier oil comes out. This is your extra virgin press almond oil. Now there is no heat involved, but if you rub your hand together, the friction will create warmth, and that's the same thing with this pressing mechanism. There'll be a temperature of 38 to 40 degrees just from the pressing, the friction. So then that's your extra virgin, in our case, organic almond oil, which is beautiful. And then they're doing this again. So then that's not extra virgin again, it's just virgin. Then they're doing it possibly the 3rd time, and they are getting an almond oil. Then they have this pulp left, which is all your leftovers of the nutty oil. They're selling that to another factory, and they're putting it into a petroleum bath to get more oil out of it. And then, unfortunately, often, not always, they're calling that cold pressed because it's petroleum stuff. It's not any warmth involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're being duped. Oh no.
Do you remember the years and years ago in Spain, there was all these people were poisoned by eating almond oil. Remember that? There were quite a few deaths.
Really?
Big scandal, because they just didn't do the cleaning of the whatever they're using as an agent to extract the remaining properly. So they ended up with this,
Wow.
this effect on people. But so this is like I could talk about argan oil as well. I mean, argan oil. There's 3 different classification of argan oil. And one is, they call it cosmetic argan oil. The other one is roasted argan oil. And then you've got raw argan oil. So the cosmetic one is basically they pick up the nuts, they ship them to Spain, they crush them, and then they put them into some solvent. Typically it's petroleum ether. And then they extract this, and they call it Moroccan oil as well. It's it's not great for your skin because it's got it's drying because it's got the petroleum sort of residues. And the roasted one is more used in cooking, so where they roast the nuts and then they extract the oil. So what you really need is raw argan oil, where is just extracted with a virgin centrifugal press, cold as such, not, well, slightly warm. And that's, I mean, there is some studies out there which are, argan oil is so good for the cardiovascular system and diabetes. In Canada, they've got some studies that if people eat it, they can really prevent those conditions, those health conditions, you know. So it's very exciting to when you get a resource and you are extracting it to our benefits and then using it properly, and then all the benefits which we can have on our health, you know. I think it's super exciting.
No, I think that's amazing. I've never heard anything about carrier oils or how
Yeah.
they're or what cold press meant. I'm mortified. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so anything in a supermarket which is in a plastic bottle, which is beautifully yellow and golden and shiny, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Don't
Okay.
touch it. Don't eat it. It's like a plastic bag lining your intestine. It really stops the absorption of any nutrition. So if you are regular, don't even cook with it. And this is why, you know, fast food companies, when they're using these cheap oils,
Yeah.
it's really bad for our health, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really hard to navigate all of this stuff,
Very
which is
hard.
why, it's so helpful when people like you not only create great product companies, but then continue to educate and, re-inform the industry on maybe something that was essentially, not a play pun on words, but was a good idea or had a good purpose behind it, but then kind of got hijacked with marketing and then demand. And it's really, the demand that starts the downfall of quality. Um,
The
so
greed comes with that, isn't it?
it is the greed. Yeah, absolutely. It's like building these big pyramids and everybody needs an oil. And I agree. Essential oils, I think, should be in every household. You should learn to use them, clean with them, aromatically use them. I think they're extremely beneficial, but there's also a place and a space for them medicinally. And I think, unfortunately, they were kind of pushed away by healthcare professionals because it became so mainstream. And, everyone's tagline was, I have an oil for that. And so it almost discredited the industry so much. So I appreciate that one, you're a practitioner, you're a physician, that you're in clinic, that you worked with people, helped with people for decades, came up with an essential oil company that you medicinally used in your practice. And now you're kind of setting the record straight in the industry and talking about the one-off things like carrier oils that nobody else is talking about. That really, really matters. So I certainly appreciate all of your hard work, and I absolutely love your oils, which is why it's a great name, Absolute Essentials. I think it's a perfect name. But is there anything you want to finish with, Dr.
Yeah,
Bo?
I think we should just finishing with the internal use of essential oils and how to do that properly, because we touched on that, and that would probably make your listeners go like, no, we want to know that. So when, like, I'm French trained, so of course we're using essential oils internally. So when I was working with a French doctor in Perpignan, I mean, I was just lucky, and I was doing, little pills. I was doing, we were making eye drops, we were making ear drops, we were making things for the vagina. I mean, you name it, anything. French people love pessaries. So, that's like with the moment in my family, with the moment I only as much as sneezed, I had a pessary up my bottom for something, So, um, so why are English speaking countries so against the essential oil use internally? I think firstly there is a bit of history involved which we need to be aware of, that in France they were introduced through as medicine. So doctors were prescribing them. There were pharmacies which were formulating and compounding products So this was common knowledge over there in insurance companies paid for treatments, aromatic treatments. So when the knowledge of essential oil for in our world got sort of exported into English speaking country, which was into the UK, it was through a lady who actually was a hairdresser, and she was working in the beauty industry. So of course she didn't have any medical knowledge. So in England or in English speaking countries, it was like, oh no, you can't use this like this, and the dosage got reduced to make sure you're safe. And that was probably a good thing, because they didn't have the medical knowledge to apply essential oils internally. And then of course, after that, the multi-level marketing companies, they came in and they gave those high dosage recipes, and they didn't talk about, well, they do talk about quality, but not in a very ethical way, or clinical way, I would say, so when ignore everything you heard about using essential oils internally. If you have a condition which requires internal use, initially I would always recommend what I said at the beginning. You've got this beautiful thing which you can give your brain. You don't need to go through your intestine. Why not use it, right? Why crowd the space even more? So I actually think that some essential oils are more effective when they're used through the breath or onto the skin than actually putting them into your stomach. However, if you do have to use them, and I think I touched on having parasites, for example, there's no point in putting oregano into your diffuser. It won't do much. And it doesn't smell so nice, so it's not that pleasant. So therefore, if you do have a problem which you want to treat internally, there's 3 things you need to remember. First of all, make sure you have a genuinely therapeutic quality. So the quality of that essential oil would be paramount. Secondly, apart from citrus oils, which should be cold pressed, you never put essential oils into water, because they are different compounds. So water and oil don't mix. So they're almost, when you put them into water, they work against the medium which you are trying to dilute them with. So you can put an essential oil into oil, because even though they're not greasy, in chemistry, if you probably remember, in chemistry, liquids attract alike liquids, so an essential oil, even though not greasy, it still has a more close composition to an oil, a carrier oil. So therefore they mix, and then when they come into your stomach, they are diluted in a safe way. However, I would actually recommend you can buy these veggie caps, which you can open yourself. I think, I'm not even sure if Get Healthy has them, but they're fairly easy to come by in a health shop. Grab a veggie cap, fill it up with olive oil. Olive oil is a good oil for the digestive system to mix essential oils with. Put 1 drop of oregano, close the cap, and swallow it, which means that it goes down into the stomach, and before it really dissolves, it's in the duodenum and has an effect. So therefore, if you have stomach ulcers or sensitive esophagus, you suffer from indigestion, you need to be very, very careful when you are taking essential oil. They're very strong, they're super strong. So then another way you could use essential oils, and I've done for years, is put them into your smoothies. So easy, just a drop, so then usually smoothie, has got some milk, and it's got some fatty compounds in it, and it's got you're using some powders like spirulina powder, those sort of things. Thirdly, if you do want to have, like, let's say, for example, you want to boost your immune system, and I really like this little blend, take some active Manuka honey. I think you've got that over there. Active Manuka honey, so the better quality, the better. Take a little bit, like a doddle, like small fingernail, and put a drop of frankincense and a drop of Manuka essential oil into your honey. Mix it together and then put it under the tongue in a clean mouth. Keep it there for 60 seconds, don't swallow, 60 seconds. Now, what this will do, the enzymes, the honey enzymes, will like put your nervous system on high alert, because under the tongue you've got something like 60 nerve endings. So it's like a perfect place. The saliva will be starting to go crazy, as it should. So you have it already diluted. And so after 60 is a long time, not swallowing or not talking, for some people. And after 60 seconds, you can swallow this, but it's done the work by talking to the endocrine system, talking to the nervous system. And then when you swallow it, it'll be super effective on your immune system. It's like a blend which I use it every day, once a day. But if you are having a low immune system, or you're going through detox, or you're going through some issues, it would be good to do it more than once a day. So honey is an effective way. Smoothie is an effective way. Putting it with olive oil is an effective way. Don't put it with water.
Yeah, there was a big push of putting essential oils in your water for a long time.
Essential citrus oils are okay. So put a drop of lemon or lime but they need to be cold pressed. And I know that the volume of the MLM companies, that they're not cold pressed and they're not certified organic. And with citrus, if you are not passionate about organic, which I'm sure some people are saying, oh yeah, not important. When you're looking at the extraction of the citrus, it's the peel which you are extracting. And boy, that gets sprayed a lot. And essential oils are a byproduct of the juice industry. So therefore, the peel gets taken off, and then the essential oil gets produced. And if they're not organic, they have all that stuff, all the sprays floating on them. So make sure you get certified organic citrus oils. And because they're cold pressed, you can put them into water.
Awesome. Well, that's another good tip, something that people don't think about, right?
Yeah.
That, I think it's fascinating in the food industry in itself, how we can peel an orange, use this for the juice, and the pulp goes over here, and we're going to send the peels to the essential oil companies. So all very interesting. I thought this was a great conversation. Thank you. And I'm excited to be able to offer Absolute Essentials here in the US. So make sure you connect with Dr. Bo if you're a practitioner. If you have any questions, their website is full of, good articles on essential oil use. And if you guys need anything, I'll put all of the links in the show notes so that you can, visit the essential oils, check out what you want. If you want my little recipe for my scarless solution that I use, Bo, I'm going to put it in there too, so they can have that. But
manufacture it soon if you
right. Tracy's take away your spots, so it did.
Spots.
So I think they're great. And I've actually used that spray on my son when he had some sunburn, because, we finally had sun in Pennsylvania, which was a miracle in itself. And he went to the pool and he's swimming with his friends, and we don't use sunscreen. Like I don't do that. So we try to do hydration and internally good fats and vitamin C. And he came back and he wasn't burnt, but he was a little bit red. And so I used some of my spray, which had aloe and all these other things, and the scarlet solution. And within an hour, he was like, he's a very golden tan boy, but he was very tan, golden. So it does work if you use it correctly in the right amounts, in the right application for the right person. But I love them. Thank you so much for your work in the industry. And do you want to leave us with any final thoughts?
Just enjoy them. They're really like gold, really. I think they're extremely precious, and they do need to get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to bring it back. We're going to make essential oil sexy again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, guys. And thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, share this with somebody that you know is an essential oil lover. There's a lot of benefit here. And I personally think people want the truth, not just something to sell, not just something to talk about, but they want to know that what they're doing for their family is beneficial and the best possible quality. So God bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bo.